know, in filmmaking, we have these stages, all right? Got the development stage. The development stage is pretty much where you have an idea. Let's look at filmmaking like a project. We are all project managers as well, by the way. So lawyers, we are business people, but we're project managers. We are the best at project management. You're managing multiple people at once, multiple clients, multiple themes. So filmmaking is a project. It could be a mid to long-term project. It could be a short to mid-term project, depending on the budget of the film. You know, it's all about budget, right? How much can you afford? What you can afford is the kind of film you would get. Films can be made on your phone versus films using the fancy, massive cameras. So really, these 4 stages are determined by the budget. So the development stage, you have your storyboards. That's where you have, the big boards, and they're writing all the ideas. Okay, Woman King, Fierce Warrior, the Agbakoba, from the Dahomey Amazons, connecting with Africa. You know, all these amazing ideas are just put down on this board, and they begin to develop it. Can we actually develop this? Is it feasible that audiences would like this? Yeah? So that's your development stage. If it makes it through to the development stage, and when I say makes it through, loads of ideas. We all have ideas every day, don't we? But how many ideas actually come to pass? Few. And that's the same with filmmaking. You might have a great idea, but the producers, the production house might say, sorry, I don't think anyone's gonna like that idea. Scrap it. It happens. It's unfortunate. Artistic people have so many ideas, but let's face it, lots of film production houses are all about what? Making money. If it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense, right? Which is unfortunate. If it don't make money, it don't make sense. So if it passes the development stage, you go to pre-production. Now, what happens at pre-production? You have to think about location. Is this film going to be where is the location going to be? Nigeria, Ghana, maybe Nigeria, UK, US. Again, it's all about your budget. How much do you have? You might think, okay, I need to get sponsors in. I need sponsors. King of Boys had some sponsors. I don't know if anyone noticed. Anyone notice this one? Yeah, okay. I know there's this thing where people say African movies need to refine a little bit. It's too obvious. But you know what? It's a work in progress. So you need to think about your sponsors. You need to think about who would suit the part of the protagonist. And you're thinking, okay, there's one particular actor. I have to have this actor. And then obviously, negotiations behind the scenes. You know, so much goes on in filmmaking. So much goes on. It's quite unbelievable. Some films have up to, 50 crew members, 100. I think King of Boys had about 700. You know, it depends. Your budget will determine the size of your crew and your cast. Or you could have a small cast supported by a very large crew. So it really just depends on what the executive producer decides works best for the film. So we're still in pre-production, we're putting our cast together, we're putting our crew together, we're working out locations. Don't forget, you need film permits. You know that, right? You need film permits as well. You need film permits, location permits. And besides that, look, let's be honest, it's not just about the film permits. You have to settle the Agbakoba. Yeah, you do. You know, some film sets get hijacked. If you don't give us money now, we are not leaving, or we'll form part of your film set. So you have to think about the realities of the, how do I say it? The realities of the environment you work in. You know, Nigeria is a very interesting place. I love this country so much, but it's a very peculiar place to do business. So, very peculiar place, you know, and the entertainment industry is no exception. You need to consider so many things, you know. If I'm going to film at night, yeah, how do you get rid of the Agbakoba? If you're going to film in the day, how do you know, so there's a lot to think about when it comes to your pre-production. Okay, so, and don't forget, at your pre-production phase, we're going into legal. Legal now comes on board. You know, some people may not bring legal till very last minute, which is not recommended. So if you have actor friends, producer friends, please, 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 always kind of stay in touch. You know, this is a business of networking. you know. And I'm going to put it out there. I'm not even going to. I got the King of Boys gig because Kemi is my childhood friend. But beyond that, I'm passionate about what I do. I do what I do very well. So it was going to be hard for her to say no to me anyway. You know, so you will end up getting most of your jobs from your networks. It's the truth. I'm not even going to lie to you here. Okay? You can crack the market, yes, but majority of your top clients will be based on personal relationships. I'm sorry to say. So if you're not good at networking, please, you need to change that. You need to find a way to fix that. You know, and networking doesn't have to be at night. You know, if there's people here who don't like going out at night, it can be lunches. I mean, yeah, we're living in austere times. We have to watch the money, but there's many ways you can network with people. I'm telling you, networking is critical. Most of my business is from networking. When I go to a conference, I'm not just sat there looking. I'm meeting, I'm walking, I'm working the room. Oh, hi, how are you doing? Oh, I heard what you said. Oh, that sounded really good. Take my card. You know, maybe we can talk sometime. Even during, sorry, I'm digressing slightly because I feel like I need to give you practical tips, not just theory. Because a lot of this you can actually read in your spare time, right? But it's not every day I'm going to be standing in front of you, you know, with this honor and privilege of, you know, sharing with you what I've done to get where I am. And I'm still trying to get further than where I am. You know, life is a continuous learning curve. So please, networking is so important, okay? Networking is super important. Right, can we go back to the slides so I can kind of rejig my memory? Okay, now post-production. Does anyone have a clue what post-production might entail? No, sorry, I've skipped. Production. Now, this is what you call the principal photography phase. Please don't ask me why it's called principal photography. I don't know. But it is just called principal photography. I want to imagine, you know, the way film has evolved. You know, film, when was the very first moving picture? I think the very first moving picture was in the 18th century. And before film was called film, it was called moving pictures, right? So pictures, obviously, you take pictures with a camera. So maybe that's why it's called principal photography. But anyway, the production phase where you're shooting, you know, they call it shooting, it's called principal photography. So in that phase, the executive producer, the producers, they get together, they've got their scripts, the actors are all in place, and shooting commences. And you know, shooting is done in bits and pieces. You know that, right? It's not all in one. I mean, I think some films could be shot in one go. That would be pretty tough. But you can hear of principal photography taking up to 1 year. I think Lord of the Rings took, my goodness, I think it took about a year and a half. It was crazy. They went to New Zealand because the scenery there was beautiful. Like just, you know, out there, quiet, remote. So your principal photography has to be really, you have to get it right. The location, like I said, counts. Location. Where you film sets the tone for the ambience, the mood of the film you're trying to produce, put together. Okay, so at that phase, what are you thinking about? You're thinking definitely about insurance. So I urge all of you, I hope you kind of have good relationships with insurers. In fact, because there was so much insurance involved, I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to become a broker because there's money in this thing. So I went and I did my exams. So now I'm a broker because the entertainment people need insurance, and actually sports people as well. They need it as well. So I thought, why not pass the sale through me so I can get my commission? But anyway, that's by the by. So insurance is very, very important, okay? You need insurance to protect, in fact, your contracts. We're still not yet in the we're not yet really there. This is still intro. I'm still doing the intro. I'm warming you up. This is a warm-up, okay? I'm warming you up. But yeah, insurance plays a big role, and one of your clauses in your agreements should speak to insurance. Here, you know, we don't take insurance seriously. Not an insurance, we're not really an insurance-driven country. But abroad, some people will not do that film if you don't have the right level of insurance. They will not do it. Can you imagine Tom Cruise not having good cover and something happens, his leg breaks? What happens? You know, it's called errors and omissions insurance, by the way. Errors and omissions. So if there's an error such as, I don't know, maybe there's a scene that didn't come out the way they wanted, and they have to go back and reshoot, and there's a cost. You know, like every scene has a cost attached, right? When it rains, when there's a riot, when there's COVID, all these things affect the budget. You know, you're 3 weeks out of budget, you're 4 weeks out of budget. So in a very extreme situation, your insurance could cover that cost. But if you don't have insurance, there's a problem. So I want to imagine that Anthill Studios, they get insurance, right? Of course you do. Yeah, you know, the fairly well-known producers in Nigeria would have insurance, but not all. So that's your opportunity. So when you meet your entertainment people, or you know someone who's like, oh, I want to make a film, you know, I really want to make a film about Lagos State at 70 in the future. You say, oh, are you insurance? I can help you. I can help you sort that out. Yeah? And then you connect to whatever provider you have. Okay? So at each stage, development stage, I hope my online people are with me. Are you with me? Can you flash or something? Okay. So at each stage, development stage, pre-production, production, post-production, and sales and distribution, I'll come to that in a second. Don't worry, we're still coming to a proper table. But again, this is me just warming you up. Okay? So we've talked about hiring, we've talked about casting, we've talked about location managers, we've talked about production designers, line managers, content writers, script writers. All these people are actors at every stage of filmmaking, all of them. Sales and distribution, that speaks for itself, right? So you've made your film. It's a brilliant film. Now, how do people see it? How do people see it? Depending on what channel you choose to go through. You could say, no, I'm waiting for Amazon. I'm waiting for Netflix. No, I want this to be a Netflix original. I'm going to pitch this. You know, it's the same thing, like in the tech industry, right? People are creating film projects to pitch to these production houses. They are. Oh, I have a great idea. In fact, this is for Amazon Prime. I'm not sharing this with any other house. So it's similar. It's a project. You have your budget. You might do your crowdfunding. Look, it's no different to a tech startup, right? How do you make your money? You might do a round. You might go round. Oh, Auntie Shola, Alaja, please, 2 million. Because if you think about it, a film project, what does it do? It's developing an idea. That idea could be political. You could be sending a statement, you know. It could be a biography about someone, you know, revered, like Woman King, you know. It could be a documentary. So whatever idea you have and you want to develop, you look for financiers that kind of align with your, thank you so much. You look for film financiers that align with your vision. They see your vision and they see how it helps them, if that makes any sense. So Bauchi State government clearly wanted to, you know, they felt that there was a good synergy. Let's put it that way. Okay, so these are things for you to think about, and that's how you can connect. You know, another thing I love about this profession we're in, we're connectors. We're constantly connecting people together. Oh, I have one client who would be great for your film. Oh, I have a client that does short drones. You know, he does drones. I have a client that does drones, and another client wants to do maybe a short documentary on, I don't know, some part of Lagos. And you're thinking, oh, my drone clients would be brilliant for your film. You have to keep connecting dots. It's very important. It's a jigsaw, and you are the ultimate person fitting in the pieces. So the more useful you are, the more value you can add, the better. I remember one of Tiwa Savage's music videos. It was hilarious. And Kemi goes, "Have you got a baby cot?" I'm thinking, a baby cot? And I'd just given birth at the time. So I was like, okay, yeah. Here, I have a baby cot. Come pick it up. And no joke, she used the baby cot in one of her videos. Again, I can't quite remember which one it was, but you need to go back. The army one, there's an army themed song. And there's a baby cot in there, and that's mine. So how do you add value? Because like I said, creatives, they can be a little bit, no offense to them. I love creative people. They're very passionate. I find them very high-spirited, right? And the benefit you add is you bring structure, you bring sanity, you bring order. You're a fix-it. People have called me Mrs. Fix-It. You need something? Oh yeah, just ask Beverly, sure, So you need to be able to have that fix-it approach to your film projects, yeah? Oh, you need something done. Oh, you need to check how to get permits. Okay, can you speak to the local government so we can sort the permits out? You just need to have that can-do, willing attitude to get things done, basically. Okay, can we carry on? Okay, we've talked about production stage, we've talked about actors' agreements, or maybe we haven't. Okay, so production stage, we know who the actors are, right? We know we're casting this person as the lead female, lead male, etc. So at this point, everybody has an agreement, hopefully. It's not unheard of in certain instances for agreements to still be signed even after principal photography has started. It can be a bit crazy sometimes. Ideally, you want these contracts to be prepared before, but don't get too annoyed with your clients if you're still chasing them. Come on, where's the agreement? I sent it to you a week ago. It's not out. What's going on? It happens. Again, I'm giving you realistic scenario. Anthill is smiling because she probably feels the pain of chasing actors. Where's the agreement? Where's the agreement? We sent you this agreement 2 weeks ago. How can we start filming with no agreement? And you don't forget, insurance is an issue. Can you imagine someone not signing the agreement and then something happens in that period they've not executed? Who's going to take the liability? Who? So, there's so many real life scenarios that happen. So I'm trying not to be all theoretical here. This is Nigeria. We know how it works. Okay, can we go back? Okay, post-production, sales. Post-production is the coloring, stage. Coloring, what does that mean? Okay, so you've got your raw film. You've got the film, right? It's been shot. It's on the reel. Not in like in the old days. Not a reel, but you've got your data, right? But it's not been edited. It's raw. You can still see like maybe the skin doesn't look nice. They do all sorts of touching up and all that. Or the color treatment. Let's say you want to do a film with a 1940s theme. You want the film to look the gradients to be a bit yellow, So you need to send it for post-production. At post-production stage, they will give it the treatment, that color treatment, so it looks as you want it to look. When we make film, we're selling a fantasy. You're selling a fantasy to people. You're taking people to another realm, another dimension, not spiritual, by the way. But you know what I mean? Like, you want people to feel like they're there. So the post-treatment has to look good. In the old days, remember how Nollywood movies used to look? Like, it just looked really raw. It didn't look good. It just looked like a handheld. But now, with development, with technology, even with your iPhone or whichever phone, I'm not promoting iPhone, you can make a film, a quality short film. You can with your phone. So technology has really helped to, develop a lot of these stages. So post-production stage, sales. I was talking about sales and then I digressed. So sales is important. You can make the best film in the world, but if you get your sales and distribution wrong, it's over. It's over. And we are fortunately living in a time right now where Africa is sellable. Africa is trending. Everybody wants a piece of Africa. Sometimes it feels like the second wave of colonialism, but anyway, that's for another day. But people want African stories now. They want our music. More, I guess the person talking about music tomorrow will tell you a lot more about licensing and how they're taking our music, putting it in adverts, in adverts, in projects abroad. I think Wizkid's song was used in, was it Star Wars? Yeah, I think so. One of the Star Wars films, Wizkid's song was used in it. We are living in such an amazing period of opportunity. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, we can all be salespeople. We can help to push out, the work of our clients. We can help to make these connections, right? Sales is really, really critical. Who tends to do the sales and distribution? Cinemas, the exhibition houses, that's your first port of call, typically. But people want more. You have a limited reach with just a cinema. People want to put their films on streaming platforms where they can reach the world. And once it's on the streaming platform, it doesn't have that limited time frame. Cinemas tend to do, if you're lucky, if you're really lucky, in this day and age where attention spans are so short, 3 weeks is considered a good run. Not to talk of 6 weeks, 7 weeks at box office, So it's all about how you get the content to the last man. And it's also about how do we put the film in the minds of people. Adverts, you need to pay for adverts. You need to pay for adverts on the radio jingles, TV, you see trailers, they're called trailers. You see the trailers everywhere. Those have all been paid for. There's agreements to support all those trailers. The more trailers you have strategically placed, then you need to think about geographics. Do I want to be in Nigeria only? Do I have connections in Ghana? If you're with a distributor with a Pan-African reach, and to be honest, I don't think we have a distributor currently with a Pan-African reach. They even still need to partner with other cinema houses. So there's a lot that goes into the sales and distribution, and you will also be handling projects at that level as well. You'll be talking to the cinema houses, oh gosh, and then the tax, the whole time. I mean, I'm not a tax lawyer, but you can imagine the tax that you have to deal with, the returns, the proceeds, making sure, your client gets their dues as and when due. So there's a lot that goes into it, right? Now, from all the above we've discussed, okay, don't forget music synchronization agreements as well, very important. That is when you affix music to a film. Yeah, because you can't have a good film if you don't have a good soundtrack. It's called a score. You need a beautiful score. If you're watching a wartime film, the score should evoke emotion, like it makes you feel patriotic. If you're watching, if you're watching an action-paced film, you want music that has a fast tempo. So there's so much that goes into it. So you also have to work with those people as well, handling agreements as between your client and composers, right? Composers, they can be very difficult, by the way. But yeah, you need to handle agreements with all these. So you are a project manager. That's just it. You're managing multiple relationships, and you can't let one single ball drop. You can't let one ball drop at any time. Otherwise, who gets you do? You do. Okay. So, which other agreements? Personal service contracts, actors agreements, release forms. Release forms. Okay. So, let's talk about TV a little bit. Let's talk about adverts. Let's talk about photography. If Okay, another example. Someone has a modeling agency, for instance, and they have all these models. Some of them might be underage, which is fine, but some might be underage. You need something called a release form. I'm sure some of you have heard of a release form. Yeah? Okay. Talk to me, people. Talk to me so I know you're not falling asleep. Okay, you know what? Everybody clap now. Clap. 1, 2. Good. It's just to wake us up. Because there's so much detail, but don't worry, you will get these slides, I think. I think? Okay, all right. Okay, so a release form, that basically gives permission to the subject of that form to say, you have a copy of my image. I give you permission to use it for ads, to use it in the film, because you can imagine doing a movie and you don't even get a release form. And you need trailers for the film, don't you? You know, sometimes when you shoot your film, you may want to shoot a completely different advert, like a clip or something. So you need the people who agree to do those clips to sign a release saying, we agree to be used in the media junkets, to be used in the trailers, and also if there's any media rounds, we agree that our image and likeness can be used. Because if not, you're going to run into some problems, right? So talent release, media release, that's generally what they're called. It's a release form. Recording contracts, I'll leave that to tomorrow. Script writers, you need a good script. Good script writers now are hotly in demand. Does anyone know names of any good ones? Any script writers you know? Well, no one wants to promote anybody's market. But guess what? You need to know these people because they could come to you and say, can you represent me, please? A film production company wants my script, but I need my rights protected. So you need to know who's who. Please, if you don't know, start following them on IG or something, right? So script writers, they bring that dialogue. They make the dialogue what it is. It's not easy to write a script at all, by any means. It takes a lot of skill and talent, consistency. So script writers, content development writers, screenwriters. Also, one thing we're seeing now is quite popular. We're seeing adaptations. We're seeing lots of adaptations. Theatre to film, film to theatre. So for those of you that are theatre buffs in the house, it could be something, potentially something you can, nudge your potential client. Have you thought about adapting this for cinema? It would be good. Remember, fundamentally speaking, we have a rich culture. Our culture is so rich, 200 plus ethnic groups. And majority haven't even told like an iota of their stories. We're waiting for the foreigners to tell our stories for us. It can't work. Sometimes we need to make that bold leap and tell our stories, right? So script writers play such an important part of that ecosystem. Work for hire agreements. What's a work for hire? Anybody heard of a work for hire? Yes, pretty much. Pretty much. Contract for rights, transfer of ownership. When you do your music session tomorrow, you're going to hear a lot about assignment licensing. You're going to hear a lot about that. That's where you're assigning rights for permanently. But licensing is for a shorter period of time. Okay, so I won't dwell too much on those areas because I don't want to overlap with tomorrow. Distribution agreements, very important as well. Distribution agreements are those agreements that executive producer will enter into with a distribution house. Sometimes a cinema can also double up as a distributor. I hope you know. But you sometimes have distribution houses standing on their own, right? They could act as agents even. But typically, the cinemas that you see, they tend to double hat. They will help you bring it to life, but they will also distribute your work for you as well. So it depends. It really all depends on the structure. Like I said, filmmaking it's a very interesting industry. So many things go. There's so many different actors and players, but there tends to be certain ways of doing things. Okay, synchronization agreements. We've talked about this already. That's where you sync music to a film, a documentary, an animation. Anybody here like animation? That's coming up a lot, yeah. That's big, that's coming up, really, that's coming up. And I love animation because it's such a great way to tell stories as well. And not even just about kids, not just kids animation, like animation is just a good way to, just to relate, to become relatable to a new audience. So definitely look out. Animators are definitely becoming more popular. There's still not enough animators in this market now. There's still not enough. But, just do your checks, look out, because it's good to have your own network of professionals that you can refer. Because sometimes someone will come with a project, like someone came to us with a media project and said, oh, they're doing an animation for kids, but we don't know any animators, or we only know one, and he went to my church. And I'm thinking, okay, he goes to your church, but does that mean he knows what he's doing? We need to kind of stop being sentimental about the way we do work. Yeah, it's good to work with people you know. I don't want to contradict myself, but you must do your due diligence as well. You need to ask them, can I see the work you've done? Let me see your portfolio, right? Maybe it's on Notion or something. I don't think she asked those questions. So she ran into serious trouble, right? But imagine if you knew some animators yourself that you could say, oh, by the way, I've worked with another animator. He was really good. Let me refer him to you for your project. And that's what I mean. You are like a fixer. You are like a project manager. You can bring so many actors together for film projects. And that's when you become in demand, because people will come to you, maybe even they don't really know what they're doing, but they have the money. They just need someone to help them put things together. And you are able to bring it all together. Okay? So, it's step by step. Today is the day you begin to look out for these professionals that will help you, bring your work together, so to speak. Okay. Film licensing agreements, right, let me think of an example. Film licensing, okay. So, we know Winnie the Pooh, right? Winnie the Pooh, yeah, okay. Disney, okay. So, film licensing is basically where you take someone else's idea. So, in the case of, Disney is not a very good example. Let me use Winnie the Pooh, okay, or even Lord of the Rings. So someone has a brilliant idea. It may not even be the person directly. It could be his estate. You know that, right? His or her. Let me stop using his. It could be the person's estate. Imagine somebody wrote brilliant stories in the 1980s and they just hid it under a table and maybe they died. And then the children found it, read it, and said, you know what, this story needs to be told. Then you approach a production house, they look at the script and they think, this is amazing. We need to produce this. This needs to be brought to life. That family, it wouldn't be a great idea if they completely sell that idea out. No. They need their royalties. Think of it like real estate. Someone owns vast acres of land, but they don't have the money to develop it themselves. So what do? They get a developer to come in, build lots of properties, and maybe they have a sharing. Okay, you have that much, we take that much. But at least your rental income comes in regularly, and that's paying you off, right? So you have a profit sharing between yourself, well, not you, but maybe your client and the developer. Same thing goes for film. So, beautiful idea. You can't bring it to life yourself. You take it to one of the mega houses, say, I don't know, Universal Studios. They love it. Your family or your client's family licenses it out to the studio for I don't know, 10 years, or maybe for they want to come up with a 5-part film, and that's the idea. So we'll do 5 films around this idea, and this is going to be the royalty sharing ratio. Great idea, isn't it? But if you don't negotiate hard or properly, you might not see, some gaps might be missing. I'll give you a great example. Any Star Wars fans here? Anime, Star Wars, yeah, sci-fi, yeah, I love it. Okay, so George Lucas, he has this amazing idea about Star Wars. It's brilliant. He needs someone to help him bring it to life. Fine. He doesn't really make much because, sorry, film production houses, y'all can be a bit with your cash. Then they miss some critical point in the agreement, merchandise. Okay, we will take all the royalties for the film, all the profits, that's for us, you take that much. They completely missed out merchandise. Nobody was thinking about merchandise in those days. If you think about it now, you have your client, yeah, that's making a film, and you can see the potential for merchandise. You're telling that client, the rights to the merchandise, when you're negotiating with the production house, you're not giving them merchandise rights. You will exploit those rights yourself. George Lucas saw that gap and ran with it. And now today, he doesn't need royalties from the film because the merchandise royalties is too much. Him alone can't even finish that money. Pajamas, what else? The derivative rights, basically. Pajamas, school bags, pens, bags. I think even, what's that? Dolls, toys. And let's not forget, some of the theme parks, Disneyland, I know they have a Star Wars section in the theme park. Can you see how the entertainment industry is just one big ecosystem? If you are a smart and savvy lawyer, you will be able to help your client exploit every inch of that idea. So George Lucas is sitting pretty on his merchandise rights. He's enjoying his rights all alone. Well, it will pass to his beneficiaries, obviously. So you need to be able to see all the opportunities. Like I said, it's a project. If you can flog that project for all it's worth, you make your client some good money, and you make some money for yourself too. Yeah? And also be very careful. Sometimes when you do a film project, the film house might be very smart and tell you, if you come to the cinema, you're not allowed to go to Netflix. Be very careful. Right? Or if it's for a streaming house, you're not allowed to go to cinema. So you have to be really savvy about what you're negotiating. Really, really savvy. Know all the loopholes and, Okay, next one. Okay, so I laid out this table for you, so it's very easy to see where everything fits. Just come around here. So, who remembers what happens at the development stage? I do. Who said I do?
I said idea.
Idea. I thought you said I do. Okay. This is the idea stage. It's still an idea in your head or in your client's head. They're thinking, where am I going to get the money to make this? They're thinking, I need a good script so I can convince the people who will give me the money. Oh, move this way. Sorry. Okay. People online, please don't be angry. Yeah, so the development stage, these are some of the types of agreements you're going to need. Your scriptwriter agreement, your NDA, very important, right? NDA is really, really important because you don't want a situation where there's a kind of dispute about whose idea it was. At what point did you share the idea and someone else now has that idea and it becomes a race to who implements first? So NDAs will take care of that, all right? Pre-production phase, things are ramping up, you've got some money, You know, maybe you've done the crowdfunding. To be honest, filmmaking is very expensive. It's quite expensive. I know Nollywood, you know, became famous because 2 million naira, 2 million naira, 2 million naira film, 2 million naira, 1 week we're done. But that's not gonna take us far. It's not gonna take us far. It got us to where we are, it got us the recognition, but we need to go beyond that. We need to make our mark on the world, and we're not gonna make our mark doing 2 million up and down. We need to, the budgets of films are getting bigger and bigger. They're getting bigger. The most expensive film ever made in Nigeria. I was looking at this chart the other day, you know? I can't believe I can't remember. I know October was listed. I know, which other film? There's 10. Does anybody know? The 10 most expensive Nigerian films ever made. Anybody know? No, 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 no. 10 most, the 10 big budget Nigerian films. Wedding Party is thrown off. You can do a quick search. Do a search. I want to know. Do a search. Somebody do a search quickly. But I have no giveaway. Sorry. But do a search quickly on your phone. Let's check. It was literally published 2 days ago because it caught my attention and I was looking through. October is on that list. Anyone seen October here? Anyone? Come on, guys, you need to be watching films. You want to be in film? Or maybe the film is not for you. You look like a music guy. I can tell. I can tell. Yes, I know. I know your type. Did you? I'm sorry? Yes, 33 days, yeah. See?
Half of a yellow sun.
Half of a yellow sun. That cost almost $1 billion, I think.
93 days.
93 days.
The wedding party 2 is there.
Two. No, someone said something. One. Someone mentioned one.
The 1 2 is there. 1 is number 7.
It's number 7. How much was the budget for that one?
60 million.
60? That's small money now.
Wedding party 2 is 300.
Exactly. Wedding Party 2 is 300. Yeah. October 1st is...
30 million.
Exactly. October 1st is pretty... Anyone seen October 1st here? Yeah, that wasn't bad, right? That's kind of patriotic. I felt proud. Kind of.
Half of a yellow sun is 1.3.
No, half of a yellow sun, to me, what they did to that, sorry, I don't want to get all political, but what they did to that film, it was a travesty. You know, one of the people that made that film, that brought that film out was, she works at, I think, Stanbic IBTC, very popular woman. She's a banker, but she's also passionate about telling stories. You see what I mean about you can find clients anywhere. It could be a real estate client. It could be, I don't know, a trader. Someone with extra cash that is passionate about sharing African stories. So this lady, her name will come to me in a second, she was passionate about telling our stories. And half of the Yellow Sun is about the Biafra War. And we all know what's happening with that story. It's being pushed to the back burner. So she brought that story to life, you know, very well produced, very well acted. And guess what? Who sabotaged it? Yes, I will use that word. You know, so you see, this is the quirks of the country we live in. You can tell, your client might want to tell a story that's very, that's going to raise eyebrows, a story that's going to cause a bit of upset. And it's very possible that that story could be shelved. And what they did to that story was, when the film came out, initially they put a ban on it. Once a ban goes on a film, I mean, by the time it's released, no one's interested. So very few people have seen that film. I eventually saw it, but it's not the same. So we have to be mindful of the environment we live in, even till now. You know, that was the National Film Censors Board that did that. And yes, it's on record and I don't care. But anyway, so we need to be mindful of the country we still live in and some of the stories that we're telling. But hopefully, you know, that was then. This is 2022. We hope. Okay, yeah, people are laughing, so clearly maybe nothing has changed. Okay, all right. So I'm glad that was a nice kind of icebreaker. So pre-production, we've talked about talent release forms, very important. So let's say you have clients that want to make ads, just ads, you know, nothing too much, just an ad, documentaries, some kids are in it. It doesn't have to be only kids. Just make sure everybody signs off a talent release form, all right? Actors agreements, obviously, we need actors agreements and all the major clauses that have to go into the agreements. One thing I need to talk, okay, no, maybe I'll do that after. I wanted to talk about disputes. No, I'll do that after. Okay, the producer agreement as well. Basically, what's a production agreement? So the person that creates the story might be different to the actual production house. So you have to have an agreement to produce the film, okay? Director agreement, you may or may not have this. Sometimes the production house might take care internally of directing, but you can have a situation where you want a celebrity director. You want a director that tells stories in a specific way. You know, you do a work for hire or a director's agreement because that director is capable of bringing that project to life. So directors, not all directors are executive producers, if that makes any sense. Not all directors are executive producers. Not all executive producers are directors. It's kind of not mutually exclusive, or it's not mutually exclusive. You can be both, or you may be strictly a director. Hire me, I'm here. I'll sign the agreement with you. You pay me my going rate. If the director is really, really top, the director might do a profit share so they will take some royalties, you know, from the box office. Or if it's a small-time director, you just pay them a one-off and that's it. Just deliver the job, that's it, okay? So if we can go back to the slide. Okay, production financing. I keep talking. Without money, you can't make anything happen. You can't. You really need funds to make things happen, okay? So have a good think about how your client can raise the funds. There's crowdfunding, there's bootstrapping, there's taking a loan out is not advisable, but Bank of Industry, they're doing some, I think they have a 50 million naira creative fund that, you know, 50 million won't really get you very far. But you could do a short film, actually. You could do a short film, a nice short film, you know. So yeah, production financing is key. Where are you getting your money from? You could be getting your money from multiple parties. So you might do a tripartite agreement, a multi-party agreement, or you just keep it strictly, yeah, which might be tidier, to be honest, right? That might be a lot tidier. But we did tripartite. So all the financiers knew who each other were, type of thing. Okay, now production. We've talked about production already. Production is principal photography, PP. Location. You need your permits. You might need the location use license. For instance, I think, was it not Harry Potter? And Harry Potter needed special permission to use the Queen's Gardens. May her soul rest in peace. So they needed special permission to use her gardens in London, right? So there would have been a location license agreement. You know, because if you're making a film and you just want it to have a certain look, there may be certain places that need agreements, but not all the time. For instance, I know shortlets are the in thing right now. And they're using shortlets all the time for locations. I mean, if it's a good shortlet manager, they will probably sign an agreement with you. Some of them don't mind if you use their shortlet for a film. I'm just telling you this because you guys are going to be enablers of the entertainment industry. So when someone is asking you, oh, I'm looking for a place I can use. I want you all thinking, I know one guy that does real estate, he does shortlets. Let me connect with that person. So remember, you are enablers of this industry. So you have to start thinking fast and on your feet. Yeah, so basically the thing with shortlets now is a lot of money is coming out to shortlets. Shortlets are hotly in demand, but not all of them like their places being used, by the way. So just be careful with that one. You might need to disclose that this is going to be used for a film, or an advert. I know I let someone use my house once for an advert. It was, I won't say the name, but it was a mattress brand. The money wasn't too bad. But it's just so you know that there's so many opportunities in entertainment. Adverts, people are always looking for, even my children, like one of them did an advert once as well, so. Yeah, and had to sign the release. So it was nice to put it into practice, So, so anyway, so just giving you ideas. Okay, so location, independent contractor. Very interesting one I had. Oh gosh. So, King of Boys. There's a scene where there's a coffin, if anybody remembers. And there was an issue with, I can't remember what happened, but basically one of the vendors thought they had the right to give, so basically the vendor, so this is something you all need to bear in mind. People can be very tricky. So your contract, your vendor, your third-party vendor contract, it clearly states you cannot assign your rights to another party. And what do? They subcontract it out to another party and promise that party credits in the film. Like, where do you get off with that? So you have to be so careful, advise your clients, who are the vendors you're using? If you're doing a wedding type of film, you need caterers, right? You need makeup artists. Don't get any shoddy makeup artists. Get a proper, there are makeup artists now that do film. Film makeup is not like day-to-day makeup, please, just be aware. It's not the same, okay? So you really have to have a good understanding of the actors in the, the players, the vendors, the third-party vendors. So where can you get a coffin from? Where can you get caterers from? Where can you get wardrobe? Wardrobe, very critical. Wardrobe, you need good wardrobe. Someone who won't let you down. So these people all make up your contractors. And if any of them mess it up, imagine your budget goes through the roof because you've already assigned, I don't know, 5 million naira for logistics. Maybe the film is about cars. It's about cars. And then they send you some jalopy and you're like, sorry, this film is about fast cars. This is not going to do it. So you really need to pay attention to every single aspect of the film, okay? Okay, can we go back? I was still on that same slide. Post-production. At this point, I hope my online people are there. I hope they're there. I hope they're listening and happy and okay. All right. Okay, so post-production. So at this point, you're putting the music in. You're putting the music in. You can have composers that you hire on a work for hire, like you talked about, who have made music guy, who have made music just for the film. They've made it just for the film. Or you have a bit of cash to play with. You think, oh, I want that whiskey track in my film. I think it'll be good. Can you afford it though? Is another thing. But you want something jamming in your film, okay? So you need to think about either a sync license or a master use. The master use is for someone else's music. If you're using a composer that you're hiring for to be honest, I think most people in the industry still use composers. The licensing industry is growing, it's definitely getting a lot better, but people complain they can't afford it, so the local market tend to license to foreign production houses, foreign companies, because they can pay the going rates. And, this conversation about how do we help our own? How do we move our local industry if we're constantly waiting for foreigners to come and pay us? I'm not saying don't ask for your money's worth, but sometimes it takes a little bit of give and take before we get to that stage where I can pay the going rate for what you want. And one thing I do like right now about where we are is there's a demand for nostalgic music. Ebenezer Obey, Oliver de Coke. This music is coming back. People want this type of music in their films. As more of us are telling our stories, we're telling biographies of people from the past, and we haven't even, scratch the tip of the iceberg when it comes to biographies. Who wouldn't want to see a biography on, I don't know, maybe one of the kings, maybe the Oba, or we haven't even begun to do all those things. We would need nostalgic music to evoke that era. You're not going to be using Afro beats to tell the story of maybe I heard you are from Benin Kingdom. No, you're going to use something, more in alignment. So think about this, dust off your repertoire of your knowledge about old music, because our catalogs from the past are now, they have value, have a lot of value, okay?